When I was 4 years old and growing up in Honolulu, I adopted a rooster that had been given to my family by my Chinese uncle in anticipation of Chinese New Year. Unfamiliar with avian gender, I named my beloved rooster Katerina. One evening we had fried chicken for dinner, and I started to rush out to the yard to see my chicken. My mother and older siblings all said, "Whenever you go out to look for your chicken, Katerina is safe, so just stay at the table and enjoy your dinner." Thus assured, I sat and ate one of my favorite meals. After dessert, I went outside to visit with Katerina. My rooster was not there. In those days, when someone disappeared from everyday life like my rooster had, it was said that they'd gone to Kaneohe, which meant then the hospital for the mentally ill. But after I'd grown up, I began driving to Kaneohe for my job at Windward Community College. To my delight, many chickens roamed the campus without observing boundaries between the college and the state hospital. Still haunted by the disappearance of my chicken, I became curious about the origins and the disappearances of these feral fowl. I began an inquiry among my colleagues at the college, which seemed to be polarized in terms of chicken attitudes.
A bit of background, because when I started back in '82, there really weren't that many chickens. It was mostly a mongoose on campus. And then what happened in the late '80s is that the feral cats started to take hold on campus. Mongoose and cats don't really get along, so the mongoose, kind of disappeared, and we had the cats on campus. That took away, the mongoose from stealing the eggs and the baby chickens and stuff, and the cats don't really seem to bother the chickens, and so the chickens have kind of taken off on campus over the last few decades.
I really enjoy the chickens on campus. Chickens seem to be a normal part of the Windward side and Windward environment, so having them there reminds me where we are. They're also really fun to watch. Chickens each have their own personality, and they're real quirky. Although they have certain behaviors that are just all chickens do, which are also fun to watch if you appreciate chickens. And then they have the babies, so there's multiple generations of chickens here and there, and sometimes we watch them die off, and they'll go from 9 babies to 7 babies to 5 babies. But that's part of chicken life.
I wanted to be in this film because I have such a high appreciation for the chickens. I've seen how my perspective has changed since I've gotten to know them and feed them.
We have had a few, I guess I would call vagrant chickens that would hang out by the building. Didn't really, get along with the wild chicken, the feral chicken ethos, and so he would hang out at the door like he was at the front door of a methadone clinic.
The chickens can be a problem, especially in where I work. The chickens have a tendency to come in and, do their waste, chicken.
Well, I guess some advantages are that, chickens are natural foragers. They tend to eat, bugs and I assume centipedes and things like that. And, possibly even aerating the ground a little bit. They have really nitrogen-rich feces, which obviously should contribute to fertilizing the grass and so forth.
Every morning they come around 6:15, just like clockwork. The first time I noticed any chickens there was a big rooster, and then there was a small hen, and she had a peg leg. I saw her limping, and they had to go up a hill to do that, but I was so delighted to have them there. And then after that, there was another black hen that came that originally I thought was a rooster. So I named them Rooster Boy, Peggy Girl, and Blackie Boy.
They're actually rather clean animals. They spend a lot of time grooming. They're kind of like cats of the bird world, and they're quite lovely. I mean, they're real kind of beautiful animals. Their feathers and so forth, just kind of, and like I said, kind of quirky and funny to watch.
I would say there's probably two possibilities that happens to them when they're removed. One is somebody has a big huli chicken sale that day, which is a definite possibility. The other one would be that they just pick them up from area A and drop them off in area B.
I'm assuming people eat some of them, or maybe eating them, maybe just taking them home. They wouldn't make the best pets, although if you're just letting them loose in your yard, maybe to control insects or centipedes or something, that would be a happy movement of the chickens if they got moved somewhere where there's plenty of bugs and insects for them to go after. I don't know, maybe someone's making a coat of chicken feathers. I have no idea.
I can tell you what some of the hypotheses are that some of my students had. At one time, there was a protest that I hope I quashed that was worried that the chickens would in fact be shipped all the way to South America and they would be used to win millions of dollars for chicken fighting consortiums down in the South American region.
I don't have a lot to do with chickens, being a vegetarian and all that, but I seem to live near them. They're everywhere on campus, and one of the things I did, this is like 4 years ago now, was I created a website called The Feral Chickens of Windward Community College.
The earth, I did have a pet chicken. His name was Norbert, and you could turn him on his back and he would just sort of go static and stuff like that, and into a little bit of a trance. So do they have the same intelligence that a human does? No. Do they have the same intelligence that a dog does? Possibly. It depends on how stupid the dog is.
They're not bright birds, and birds generally aren't that bright, or really that interesting in a way. I mean, they don't do interesting things most of the time. Yeah, I mean, they really come across as like tired shoppers in Alamoana. Having spent too much time wandering around, but they keep wandering around in case there's something else to find.
They're not great problem solvers. They don't have big neocortexes in their brain that help them figure things out, so they will stay on the other side of glass trying to figure out, why can't I get that food? But they learn things very quickly, which is unfortunately the problem and why they'll start coming in buildings, because they make associations and have terrific memories about that. You can teach a chicken tricks in no time. I taught my Prudence. I taught her to up, and she'll jump up on my arm now, anytime, anywhere, because and it took her maybe 2 tries and that's it. It's good there, it's there forever.
Rooster Boy responds, he knows his name. I mean, when you see their face, you see there's a thinking process going on. And then he makes a decision, okay, time to run back this way. And then I have my water dish close to my door. And he comes every day and drinks water, and he likes to put his face in there and shake it.
Again, I think a chicken is really the trash of the bird society. All cultures kind of have, their species that don't have a very high intellect, to put it nicely. And I find chickens to be that. I don't think you can compare a chicken to a hawk or an eagle. The kind of, beautiful birds that we have.
Rooster Boy's probably the only one that would ever let me get close enough, but I doubt he'd let me pick him up. And he's big too, and a gorgeous colors. And then when he, flaps his wings, he's a real typical dominant male.
Even though a rooster is a fairly good-looking bird, but I don't think much of chickens.
Birds have very narrow visual fields, and so this bird had been pecking, eating all the crackers as I threw them down, and then it started pecking at my feet because it realized there was no more food around, but in fact there was, it just was out of its visual range, and so I bent down to pick up the cracker and show it where it was, and it jumped up and grabbed my lower lip with its talons, and it then proceeded to peck me in the face until I was a bloody mess. That sort of tempered my experience with chickens and any kind of poultry since then.
I had a major war, you might say, with the rooster that, has his little flock of chickens. So him and I had to duke it out one day because he wanted to take over the outside area, and that went on for maybe 2 or 3 days where he kept coming back, and finally had to take a kind of a big stick, kind of a broomstick, and kind of do battle with him, and then he kind of finally got the hint that I was going to win. I kind of have an idea to create a class which I call Chicken Hunt 101. because I think a lot of the young adult pups that we get, here at the college have never really experienced, what it is to, kill an animal and, gut it and cook it and eat it. So I thought it would be a good course here.
Well, I kind of reject the whole premise that this is a feral group of chickens. I mean, this is, to me, an organized society of chickens here on the Windward Community College campus, and they're organized and they're watching us.
Curry chicken and rice is like a symphony to me. The curry spices, chicken and rice blend together, oh so nice. It's a rich orange color, like my number 2 pencil. Bits of carrots float in the sauce. Potatoes and chicken peek up at the top. I dream of this magical dish. It warms my tongue like a hot summer day.